I'm Phaedra Kress, Executive Editor of the Aesthetic Surgery Journal, and I'm so honored to be here doing our next International Spotlight video with Dr. Jeffrey Marcus, who is the current president of the Rhinoplasty Society. Welcome, Dr. Marcus.
Hi, thanks. Good to be here.
So we're here today because your meeting, the Rhinoplasty Society annual meeting, which dovetails with the ASAPS meeting, is coming up next month in April. And we are curious about the history of how you began to partner when the society was a smaller travel club.
Well, yeah, it goes back to 1996 was the year that the society was established, and it was somewhat of that. It was more or less a club, a group of individuals, all good friends, all very committed to education. I think that was the thing that they had in common, and they felt that it would be a good time to start a group that was dedicated to studying rhinoplasty specifically, and be inclusive of all of those who had an interest in the field. And they felt that at that point in time that it would probably be a good idea to dovetail with another meeting, and rather than having a standalone meeting. And since they were many of them, or the majority, were going to be going to ASAPS, it was very common among the group. They chose to do that, and so they dovetailed at the front end of the ASAPS meeting, and that's pretty much how it started.
So. The society was formed in 1996, and as we were talking earlier, you've been to about roughly 16 or so consecutive meetings, which is impressive. What is special about this year's meeting in New York City, and what do you think will attract the most attendees and be kind of, a new twist for this year?
Well, there are a couple things this year, but I'd say the main one that is really special comes on some unfortunate news in this past year. Jack Gunther, who everyone will know is one of he's on the Mount Rushmore of rhinoplasty, probably one of the biggest contributors in history, one of. So Jack passed away this past year, and that's a big loss for the specialty overall. And he was a founding member as well, and one of the people who was a close friend to all who came in, and even as a young person starting practice, he was somebody that reached out to me. He didn't know me from anybody, and so I was asked this year if we wanted to do something for it, and so I was able to arrange for us to have a special tribute to Jack. Mark Constantian, Rod Rorick, and Bauman Guyron are going to be saying a few words about him and their experiences with him. So I think that's going to be a wonderful thing.
I think the community will really appreciate that.
I was a resident from 94 through 2001, and probably somewhere around halfway through there, I was encouraged by some mentors. One of them, who was a founding member, Peter McKinney, he encouraged me to attend, which I did, and I was hooked on the club atmosphere, the way that it, and by the way, it stayed this way. It's bigger, but it's still tight, and you can approach anyone. As a resident, I was welcomed, and I couldn't stop taking notes. I mean, I listened to every single thing. And so for me, and then honestly, since then, I don't believe I've missed many, if any, since that time. And they're, universally, I think that those meetings, are always good. We try to keep things, some general context. We try to do some basic education where possible, but then we do get in the weeds a lot because we geek out about rhinoplasty. That is what we do. And so there's, it might be a little bit of esoteric in there too, but one thing is sure is that if there's a good idea coming in rhinoplasty, it will be at that meeting, typically first. So this year, like other years, I think you can expect a great program. I think we've gotten this kind of down based on a lot of feedback over all these years. Panels, controversies, arguments. These are the kinds of things people want to see, and we try to cater to that. And we have, as in the past, I'd say I think it's our third or fourth year, we've done a resident abstract competition. So the residents compete and they love it. We're still very welcoming to residents. I don't believe we charge them still. And I think this year is just going to be another amazing year. They've got a great program set up.
And I'm sure, I think it'll be my fourth consecutive meeting, so I'm a little behind you, but it's been a great experience for the journal as we meet and greet with different section editors, authors, reviewers. So basically what I was curious about was, in your discussions with members, which may be authors, reviewers, editors of the journal, do you have any stories that you can share with us, or any kind of feedback as the main conduit for which your members are publishing?
Well, I do think so. I do think that the members appreciate the journal specifically, the Aesthetic Surgery Journal, because the interest is almost more than anywhere else. The interest is there, and the audience is the right audience. It's the group of people who are really focused on these things. And sometimes if you're looking around, I think that there are, in rhinoplasty, which is it's a niche specialty. Sometimes we get detailed, and that level of detail is appropriate for a journal like the Aesthetic Surgery Journal. And so that's, I think, and that's where it is. We feel that our thoughts are appreciated there. I'd say that even in just a recent example, in I think this past month's journal, Roland Daniel and Peter Palhazzi have this article which other people might look at and think, well, that looks very detailed. I don't know, how important is this? It's so detailed anatomy, which Roland is a master anatomist. That is an absolutely amazing article. And there's a message in there, and it's full color with beautiful illustrations, and he gets his point across. So I don't know there's another venue where you could have put that. But yet, like I said, it's a really valuable article. I don't know where else it would have gone.
That's fantastic, and thank you for mentioning Dr. Daniel's recent article. He is our section editor of Rhinoplasty with Dr. Aaron Cousins, who I'm sure you know very well.
That's how I got the article in that.
Yeah. You're not allowed to do that. So the next question would be, how can we improve? How else can we provide education, research for your members? What can we do better?
Oh, gosh. I think that as far as the journal goes, so starting with that, one thing that can be helpful, that I think people appreciate, different journals have different opinions on it, is, there are viewpoint pieces, things that are not specifically and only just research-based with a premise and a hypothesis and methods and results and conclusions. Sometimes free-form thoughts from individuals who are experts can be very, very interesting, and particularly if it's a controversial topic. And those are situations where sometimes even the lay press picks up on that with a news blast or a press release. If the Aesthetic Surgery Journal and a very, well-respected person have a message that they want to deliver, and it would be something that the public might have interest in, I think there's a place for that. But I know different journals have different opinions about including that.
Yeah, that's it's a great idea. We'll definitely take that under consideration. One thing that I actually remember talking recently with Dr. Cousins about was sort of the difference in the approaches between the U.S. and Europe. Can you speak a little bit to that? I know I'm sort of catching you off guard with this one, but talk to us about that, because I know you do get a lot of international attendees at the meeting. And what's the dichotomy like right now in rhinoplasty?
So I think this is a perfect time for me to respond to your impromptu question with a shameless plug for the second International Rhinoplasty Society's meeting, which is in Miami. And that is a meeting that is actually a partnership between the Rhinoplasty Society and then the later appearing sister society, the Rhinoplasty Society of Europe. The Rhinoplasty Society, I guess, proper, is basically inclusive of anyone around the world. RSE is, they're going to be predominantly Europeans, and they have a lot of interest in rhinoplasty. So they have some amazing surgeons, and it doesn't mean that all the techniques are coming out of Europe at the moment. That's not the case, but you can find some really interesting cutting edge stuff that's coming from Europe, and frankly, we all need to pay attention. We should pay attention to it. That's, from my point of view, why I love these societies, is because we're very inclusive and we work pretty well together. So. Like Aaron and Roland and others, I've had a chance to interface with the Europeans. There's our two European co-chairs, Enrico Rabotti and Nazim Sirkis, they're the co-chairs for the Miami meeting with Roland and I representing our side. And, I've been able to learn from all of them. I don't necessarily always adopt everything quickly because it's just not in my nature either. But I have picked up some, really great tricks.
Well, we appreciate it. We look forward to spending time with you. And on behalf of Dr. Nahai and our whole editorial team, we wish you the best of luck with the meeting, and we'll see you in New York.
Great. And listen, if I or anybody else, if I or the society can do anything else further to help you, let me know.
We really appreciate that. Thanks, Dr. Marcus.
Hey, it's Dr. Jay Calvert, and I am the Program Committee Chairman for the Rhinoplasty Society annual meeting being held this year in New York. This year we have an incredible group of faculty who are giving lectures on everything from tip aesthetics to controlling the dorsum to a tribute lecture from some of the masters about Jack Gunther, who is one of the Rhinoplasty Society's greats. And we are also happy to be in New York to listen to all of the abstracts that are coming from the amazing participants who are residents, attending surgeons from around the world. It's going to be a great meeting. It is one of the most educational rhinoplasty meetings that I attend. And what I find is the overriding theme is that there is a sense of complete honesty and willingness to really talk about the big problems we all have in doing these very difficult operations. It's a blast. The people who attend are great, and I really recommend that you join us in New York.